Sorry about that, folks. Oh, Krishna. I was getting an echo. I'll start that again. Krishna, 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 hey, Krishna, 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 hey, Krishna, 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 Rakshama. Krishna, 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 Lakshman. Krishna, 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 Pahemam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahemam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahemam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O Lord Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. I'm just going to shut off the light in the other room. So today we're reading from the genealogical table of Krishna's family tree. Hare Krishna, Krishna Chandra, Prabhu, obeisances to you. All glories
Dandava pranams, Prabhu.
all glories to Srila Puri Maharaj.
All glories to Shiva
How's
Prabhu.
mom doing?
She's, what's the word? She's still here. It's just we have to wait for her like liver numbers to go down. That's like the big thing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Krishna's hands, we can pray.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. I appreciate it.
Prabhupada said, don't think this isn't going to happen to you.
Mhm. I care only more when it's someone I love, unfortunately.
Yeah. Tendency is there to care more about others than to care about ourselves. So I've queued up the page here. At least I thought I did. Okay, there we are. If you'd like to begin, the genealogical table. This is the second volume of the Krishna book. Originally, I believe it came out in 3 volumes, but here the original Krishna books are being presented in 2 volumes. So it's more kind of it's all the same identical chapters. It's just they've put it Krishna book part 1, Krishna book part 2 into chapters.
Understood.
So this is the genealogical table of the family of Krishna. So let's learn about that.
Krishna had 16,108 wives, and in each of them he begot 10 sons, all of them equal to their father in the opulences of strength, beauty, wisdom, fame, wealth, and renunciation, like father, like son. All the 16,108 wives of Krishna were princesses. And when each saw that Krishna was always present in her respective palace and did not leave home, they considered Krishna to be a henpecked husband who was very much attached to them. Every one of them thought that Krishna was her very obedient husband, but actually Krishna had no attraction for any of them. Although each thought that she was the only wife of Krishna and was very, very dear to him, Lord Krishna, since he is Atmaram, self-sufficient, was neither dear nor inimical to any of them. He was equal to all the wives and treated them as a perfect husband just to please them. For him, there was no need for even a single wife. In fact, since there were women, the wives could not understand the exalted position of Krishna, nor the truths about him.
Ooh, that sounds like an anti-feministic statement, doesn't it? In fact,
Yes, I
since
would
they
say
were
so.
women, the wives could not. Uh-huh.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. All the
I was
princesses.
going to say, I wanted to make a comment. I thought you wanted to make a comment, so I
Oh, I'm
hesitated to
sorry.
speak.
Yeah, I don't have a comment at this time.
I was going to say, I just wanted to comment that it's ironical
Hmm.
that women who are devotees of Krishna, Vaishnavis,
Hmm.
they might actually take exception to some of Krishna's statements or Srila Prabhupada's statements. They don't like them
Yep.
because they think it's because they think they're women, or or it's because according to social conventions, they're expected to act within, I mean, as men, we're also meant to act within certain parameters in
Yep.
society, and
Hmm.
similarly with women. But the irony is, if you were to speak these some of those words, they might call you a misogynist or a woman hater. But
Yep.
actually, you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you mean. Yes.
That's ironical. Hare Krishna Sangi, obeisances.
Haribo.
Jai Prabhupada.
I'm driving, but when I stop, I can read.
Okay. I just want to run a sentence by you and hear your response, if that's all right.
Say it again.
Yeah. So Krishna Chandra Prabhu and we just started reading about the genealogical table of Krishna, of his family tree. Yeah.
Wow.
And we just the last sentence in the first paragraph, it I just want to go back to that for a second and hear your comment on this and see what you think.
Okay, go ahead. I'll park.
So Krishna Chandra just read that although each of the queens of Krishna thought that she was the only wife of Krishna and was very, very dear to him, Lord Krishna, since he's Atmarama, self-sufficient, was neither dear nor inimical to any of them. He was equal to all the wives and treated them as a perfect husband just to please them. For him, there was no need for even a single wife. And so here's the question I have. In fact, since they were women, the wives could not understand the exalted position of Krishna, nor the truths about him. Since they were women, the wives could not understand the exalted position of Krishna, nor the truths about him. Well, how do you understand that statement?
Hmm. Well, I don't know. They saw him as their husband. They were in a Swakiya relationship. You know, I mean, it was definitely Yoga Maya. If they saw him for who he was, how could they be intimate and connected? You know, it had to be covered over.
How
So
could they
that
relate to him in that way? Right. Okay, very nice. Uh-huh.
it would be impossible. They would be in awe and reverence. And that's the husband-wife is a very intimate relationship.
I was wondering if this was like an anti-feminist statement. Since they were women, the wives could not understand the exalted position of Krishna nor the truths about him.
But we know it's interesting because we know the gopis are the highest.
Right?
And you know, I mean, they may or may not understand, but they love him incomparably
Right.
to anyone else. There's no one that loves Krishna like the gopis.
Correct.
That doesn't mean they're less intelligent. That's
Mhm.
an interesting point, right?
Yes.
And then what does it go on to say?
Okay.
Say, look, wait. Every one of them thought that Krishna was her very obedient husband.
Right.
They saw him as their obedient husband. How can you do that if you know he's God?
If you know how exalted Krishna is, right? I was thinking, I guess it's natural for every wife to want to have a very obedient husband. Is that right?
I guess it's a dream.
And every husband is thinking to have a very obedient wife.
Krishna changes
And
it
if the
up.
mood is cooperative, it'll work exactly perfectly for both.
Right. Lovely.
Say that again, please.
And if they work cooperatively in harmony with their own natures, then it'll work perfectly for both and they both get what they want.
Aha. That's a big if.
Especially in Kali Yuga.
And who said that? Who's speaking?
That's Dvija Garanga.
Oh, I don't know him, do I?
Yeah, he's in and out. He's out there in British Columbia attending to Krishna's gardens.
Oh, that's so lovely. Nice to meet you, Dvija. Is it Dvija Chaitanya? Dvija Gauranga?
Gauranga.
Yes, most people call me Dvija. Privileged to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
But the most important part of his name is the Gauranga part.
I won't argue.
We should not just call you Dvija. Must call you Dvija Gauranga.
What does Dvija mean?
Twice born.
Oh, that's not a bad
Lord
name
Chaitanya
either.
was born. It's the name of Lord Chaitanya. He was born in a Brahmin family, so he's also a Dvija. I mean, every name is appropriate to him, and yet not in a limiting way, of course.
Lovely.
Dvi is the root is Dvi is two, and Ja means Janma, so Dvi Janma, twice born.
I'm going to mute now so I can drive.
Yes, please. Ride, Rasangi, ride. Instead of ride, Sally, ride, it's ride, Rasangi, ride. Drive carefully. Okay, so Krishna Chandra was going to read his second paragraph here. All the princesses. Thanks for coming, Dvija Garanga Prabhu.
Thanks, Prabhu. I'll be just listening if that's okay. I'm outside. I won't be able to see the screen, but thank you. I'm lending an ear. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening, and we'll check in with you for comments sometimes. Krishna Chandra? Hare Krishna? Are you there? Hello? Okay, if you're not going to read, then I guess I'll read. All the princesses who were wives of Krishna were exquisitely beautiful, and each of them was attracted by Krishna's eyes, which were just like lotus petals, and by his beautiful face, long arms, broad ears, pleasing smile, humorous talk, and sweet words. Influenced by these features of Krishna, they all used to dress themselves very attractively, desiring to attract Krishna by their feminine bodily appeal. They used to exhibit their feminine characteristics by smiling and moving their eyebrows, thus throwing sharpened arrows of conjugal love just to awaken Krishna's lusty desires for them. Still, they could not arouse the mind of Krishna or his sex appetite. This means that Krishna never had any sex relations with any of his many wives, save and except to beget children. Are you able to read now, Krishna Chandra?
I'm here. Excuse me. What's up? I'm sorry. I had to take a phone call. I apologize, but I'm done with it now. Okay. Can we can you just skip me for now, because I'm in the middle of something important. I mean, with my.
Okay, I'll just read myself until someone else shows up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The queens of Dwarka were so fortunate that they got Lord Sri Krishna as their husband and personal companion. Although he is not approachable by exalted demigods like Brahma, they remain together as husband and wife, and Krishna as an ideal husband treated them in such a way that at every moment there was an increase of transcendental bliss in their smiling exchanges, talking and mixing together. Each and every wife had hundreds of thousands of maidservants, yet when Krishna entered the palaces of his thousands of wives, each of them used to receive Krishna personally by seating him in a nice chair, worshipping him with all requisite paraphernalia, personally washing his lotus feet, offering him betel nuts, massaging his legs to relieve him from fatigue, fanning him to make him comfortable, offering all kinds of scented sandalwood pulp, oils, and aromatics, putting flower garlands on his neck, dressing his hair, getting him to lie down on the bed, and assisting him in taking his bath. Thus they served always in every respect, especially when Krishna was eating. They were always engaged in the service of the Lord. Let me see if there's anyone else here to read. Guess not. You can't read. Krishna Chandra, Rasangi can't read. Vijay Garanga can't read. I guess I'm reading myself.
I'm sorry about that, Prabhu. You know
Here's
what?
an interesting point
Yes, go ahead.
about what you just read. Like it's
Yeah.
described that each queen had hundreds and thousands of maidservants, maids and sort of maids in waiting. So what functions are they performing? So many maidservants. Like, just consider what is their service? Hundreds and thousands for one queen. Because the queen is also, she doesn't just take care of herself. She's the queen of something other than just herself. So at least she has her household. Every household is described in amazing.
They each have 10 sons and 1 daughter.
That's
or
right.
10 daughters and
Right.
1 son. They have
Right.
children, lots, 10. 11, right?
11, 10 daughters and only 1 son each?
Yeah,
I think it's the
whatever
other way
it
around,
is.
isn't it? I think it's the other way around.
10 What is it?
10 sons and 1 daughter.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I forgot. Wow.
Lots of responsibilities.
The household itself is run in a particular way according to the desire of the mistress of the house, the queen of the place.
Right.
So all of her desires are extended through her maidservants to take care of every detail.
Of the 16,108 queens of Krishna, each of whom had 10 sons, there's your answer.
John.
There is the following list of the sons of the first 8 queens. By Rukmini, Krishna had 10 sons. Pradyumna, Charudeshna, Sudeshna, Charudeha, Sucharu, Charugupta, Bhadracharu, Charuchandra, Vicharu, and Charu. None of them were inferior in their qualities to their divine father, Lord Krishna. Similarly, Satyabhama had 10 sons, and their names are as follows: Bhanu, Subhanu, Svarbhanu, Prabhanu, Bhanuman, Chandrabhanu, Brihadbhanu, Atibhanu, Shribhanu, and Pratibhanu. The next queen, Jambavati, had 10 sons, headed by Samba. Their names are as follows: Samba, Sumitra, Purujit, Shatajit, Sahasrajit, Vijay, Chitraketu, Vasuman, Dravida, and Kratu. Lord Krishna was specifically very affectionate to the sons of Jambavati. By his wife Satya, the daughter of King Nagnajit, Lord Krishna had 10 sons. They are as follows: Veera, Chandra, Ashvasen, Chitragu, Vegavan, Vrisha, Ama, Shanku, Vasu, and Kunti. Amongst all of them, Kunti was very powerful. Krishna had 10 sons by Kalindi, and they are as follows: Shruta, Kavi, Vrisha, Veera, Subahu, Bhadra, Shanti, Darsha, Purnamas, and the youngest Shomaka. For his next wife, Lakshmana, the daughter of the king of Madras province, he begot 10 sons of the names Pragosh, Gatravan, Singha, Bala, Prabala, Urdvaga, Mahashakti, Saha, Oja, and Aparajit. Similarly, his next wife, Mitravinda, had 10 sons. They are as follows: Vrika, Harsha, Anila, Gridra, Vardhana, Anada, Mahangsa, Pavana, Vani, and Kshudi. His next wife, Bhadra, had 10 sons of the names Sangramajit, Brihatsen, Shura, Praharana, Arijit, Jai, Subhadra, Vama, Ayu, and Satyaka. Besides these 8 chief queens, Krishna had 16,100 other wives, and all of them had 10 sons each. The eldest son of Rukmini, Pradyumna, was married with Mayavati from his very birth, and afterwards he was again married with Rukmavati, the daughter of his maternal uncle, Rukma. From this Rukmavati, Pradyumna had a son named Aniruddha. In this way, Krishna's family, Krishna and his wives, along with their sons and grandsons, and even great-grandsons, all combined together to include nearly 1 billion family members. Wow, that's a big family. I want to see if anyone else has arrived that wants to read. No, it looks like, as far as I know, Krishna Chandra, Rasangi, Vija, none of you are able to read, so I will continue to be the reader. Okay, Rukmi, the elder brother of Krishna's first wife, Rukmini, was greatly harassed and insulted in his fight with Krishna, but on the request of Rukmini, his life was saved. Since then, Rukmi had held a great grudge against Krishna and was always inimical toward him. Nevertheless, his daughter was Krishna's son, and his granddaughter was married with Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha. This fact appeared to be a little astonishing to Maharaj Parikshit when he heard it from Shukadev Goswami. Quote, I am surprised that Rukmi and Krishna, who were so greatly inimical to one another, could again be united by marital relationships between their descendants. Parikshit Maharaj was curious about the mystery of this incident, and therefore he inquired further from Shukadev Goswami. Because Shukadev Goswami was a practical yogi, nothing was hidden from his power of insight. A perfect yogi like Shukadev Goswami can see past, present, and future in all details. Therefore, from such yogis or mystics, there can be nothing concealed. When Parikshit Maharaj inquired from Shukadev Goswami answered as follows. Pradyumna, the eldest son of Krishna, born of Rukmini, was Cupid himself. He was so beautiful and attractive that the daughter of Rukmi, namely Rukmavati, could not select any husband other than Pradyumna during her Swayamvar. Therefore, in that selection meeting, she garlanded Pradyumna in the presence of all other princes. When there was a fight among the princes, Pradyumna came out victorious, and therefore Rukmi was obliged to offer his beautiful daughter to him. Although a far-off enmity was always blazing in the heart of Rukmi because of his being insulted by Krishna's kidnapping of the sister Rukmini, when his daughter selected Pradyumna as her husband, Rukmi could not resist consenting to the marriage ceremony just to please his sister Rukmini. And so Pradyumna became the nephew of Rukmi. Besides the sons described above, Rukmini had one beautiful daughter with big eyes, and she was married to the son of Kritavarma, whose name was Bali. Although Rukmi was a veritable enemy of Krishna, he had great affection for his sister Rukmini, and he wanted to please her in all respects. On this account, when Rukmini's grandson Aniruddha was to be married, Rukmi offered his granddaughter Rochana to Aniruddha. Such marriage between immediate cousins is not very much sanctioned by the Vedic culture, but in order to please Rukmini, Rukmi offered his daughter and granddaughter to the son and grandson of Krishna. In this way, when the negotiation of the marriage of Aniruddha with Rochana was complete, a big marriage party accompanied Aniruddha and started from Dwarka. They traveled until they reached Bojakata, which Rukmi had colonized after his sister had been kidnapped by Krishna. This marriage party was led by the grandfather, namely Lord Krishna, accompanied by Lord Balaram, as well as Krishna's first wife, Rukmini, his son Pradyumna, Jambavati's son Samba, and many other relatives and family members. They reached the town of Bojakata, and the marriage ceremony was peacefully performed. The king of Kalinga was a friend of Rukmi's, and he gave him the ill advice to play with Balaram and thus defeat him in a bet. Amongst the Kshatriya kings, betting and gambling and chess was not uncommon. If someone challenged a friend to play on the chessboard, the friend could not deny the challenge. Sri Balaramaji was not a very expert chess player, and this was known to the king of Kalinga. So, Rukmi was advised to retaliate against the family members of Krishna by challenging Balaram in chess. Although not a very expert chess player, Sri Balaramaji was very enthusiastic in sporting activities. It's hard for me to understand how Lord Balaram wasn't the expert in everything. Here it says he was not a very expert chess player. I'm thinking, well, I guess that must be Leela, because what is it that the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot do?
Perhaps by inclination. He's not so inclined, just all.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know what the acharyas have to say about that.
Yeah,
But
good to know.
Dvija Gauranga Acharya, he has explained. I don't know. Maybe it gives Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur may give more information on it. I'm not sure. We can check. Although not a very expert chess player, Sri Balaramaji was very enthusiastic in sporting activities. Okay, he accepted the challenge of Rukmi and sat down to play. Betting was with gold coins. Oh, you didn't have Bitcoin. Betting was with gold coins. Maybe Balaram's trying to give us a hint here. And Balaram, first of all, challenged with 100 coins, then 1,000 coins, then 10,000 coins. Each time Balaram lost, and Rukmi became victorious. Wow. See, did
Prabhu,
anyone else?
I'm ready to read
Yes.
whenever I can.
Please. Good. Thank you. Please read
Okay.
2 paragraphs, starting
Thank
at
you.
Sri Balaram's losing the game.
Sri Balaram's losing the game was an opportunity for the king of Kalinga to criticize Krishna and Balaram. Thus, the king of Kalinga was talking jokingly and purposefully, showing his teeth to Balaram. Because Balaram was the loser in the game, he was a little intolerant of the sarcastic, joking words. He became a little agitated, and when Rukmi again challenged Balaram, he made a bet of 100,000 gold coins. Fortunately, this time Balaram won. Although Balaramji had won, Rukmi, out of his cunningness, began to claim that Balaram was the loser and that he himself had won. Because of this lie, Balaramji became most angry with Rukmi. His agitation was so sudden and great that it appeared like a tidal wave in the ocean on a full moon day. Balaram's eyes are naturally reddish, and when he became agitated and angry, his eyes became more. I can't read the rest of the page.
I just have to shut something off on the stove. Excuse me. Sorry. Coming.
That's fine. I'm actually trying to look for this on my other device.
Got to the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
His eyes became more reddish. This time he challenged and made a bet of 100 million coins.
Wow.
Again, Balaram was the winner according to the rules of chess, but Rukmi again cunningly began to claim that he had won. Rukmi appealed to the princes present, and he especially mentioned the name of the king of Kalinga. At that time, there was a voice from the air during the dispute, and it announced that for all honest purposes, Balaram, the actual winner of this game, was being abused, and that the statement of Rukmi that he had won was absolutely false.
Is that 2 paragraphs?
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering if Bavatrini and Rahari have arrived yet. No, they have not. Okay.
If you want, I can read some more. If that.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
That's fine. In spite of this divine voice, Rukmi insisted that Balaram had lost, and by his persistence it appeared that he had death upon his head. Falsely puffed up by the ill advice of his friend, he did not give much importance to the oracle, and he began to criticize Balaramji. He said, "My dear Balaramji, you two brothers..."
Excuse me for interrupting. Excuse me. I have a question. Based on what you just read, it said the ill advice of his friend. So is he referring to the king of Kalinga?
Let me see. Not thinking clearly. Let me see. I suppose it's just unfortunately my my retention is not good due to my state of mind.
It says there was a voice from the air that
Mm-hmm.
announced that for all honest purposes, Balaram was the actual winner. So I'm wondering what advice is being referred to here.
I think we have to backtrack a little bit to pinpoint that.
All of his
Yeah,
buddies
gave
with the
king of
same
Kalinga-
mindset.
King of Kalinga gave ill advice to play with Balaram. That was the bad advice.
Yeah, that's the crux of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of them. They were all kind of like together, but that one's the main one that mentioned. Yeah, King of Kalinga.
Okay, where are we now? Where are you?
I think we're.
Right here?
I think we're okay.
Is that, yeah, falsely puffed up by the ill advice of his friend. Okay.
Okay. So, shall I go on?
Please.
He said, "My dear Balaramji, you two brothers, cowherd boys only, may be expert in tending cows, but how can you be expert in playing chess or shooting arrows on the battlefield? These arts are well known only to the princely order." Hearing this kind of pinching talk by Rukmi and hearing the loud laughter of all the other princes present there, Lord Balaram became as agitated as burning cinders. He immediately took a club in his hand and without any further talk struck Rukmi on the head. From that one blow, Rukmi fell down immediately and was dead and gone. Thus, Rukmi was killed by Balaram on that auspicious occasion of Aniruddha's marriage. These things are not very uncommon in Kshatriya society, and the king of Kalinga, being afraid that he would be the next to be attacked, fled from the scene. Before he could escape even a few steps, however, Balaramji immediately captured him. And because the king was always showing his teeth while criticizing Balaram and Krishna, broke all his teeth with his club. The other princes who were supporting the king of Kalinga and Rukmi were also captured, and Balaram beat them with his club, breaking their legs and hands. They did not try to retaliate, but thought it wise to run away from the bloody scene.
Please finish.
During this strife between Balaram and Rukmi, Lord Krishna did not utter a word, for he knew that if he supported Balaram, Rukmini would be unhappy. And if he said that the killing of Rukmi was unjust, then Balaram would be unhappy. Therefore, Lord Krishna was silent on the death of his brother-in-law, Rukmi, on the occasion of his grandson's marriage. He did not disturb either his affectionate relationship with Balaram or with Rukmini. After this, the bride and the bridegroom were ceremoniously seated on the chariot, and they started for Dwarka, accompanied by the bridegroom's party. Bridegroom's party was always protected by Lord Krishna, the killer of the Madhu demon. Thus, they left Rukmi's kingdom, Pojakata, and happily started for Dwarka.
So I just want to backtrack here a little bit. Why did everyone start laughing?
1 second.
Because they're in the same mood.
Who's they?
Well, who is laughing?
They were making
All the
fun
other
of.
princes.
They were making fun of Krishna and Balaram, and so the people were laughing. Yeah.
Those who have the same bearing of mind. It's very the Kshatriyas are very passionate, so they can be really easily sometimes offended, and they'll fight over small things and take sides. Their nature is to be very decisive. They take sides and then act on that passionately.
Rukmi that was doing the criticism. He was
Yeah,
saying
he's the aggressor. He is the one who took the initiative to continually cheat and win.
right.
First he won, but then he cheated to twist the truth into winning, and that Balaram couldn't tolerate.
He said, "My dear Balaramaji, you two brothers, coward boys only, may be very expert in tending cows, but how can you be expert in playing chess?
That's
or
a real put
shooting
down.
arrows on the battlefield? These arts are well known only to the princely order." He was denigrating Krishna Balaram.
Totally. Oh, total put down.
Basically saying you're a couple of hicks.
That's
Krishna
it.
Balaram, you're a couple of rednecks.
That's right.
We're princes. We're princes. We practice chess. We're really good at this.
Yeah.
Krishna Balaram, you're just a couple of farm boys.
That's right. Yeah.
You're a couple of country bumpkins.
Yeah.
Wow. Pride precedes a fall. No wonder Lord Balaram became angry. Of course, he's not under the modes of material nature.
No.
I was just hearing a similar. I mean, we don't get any transcendental benefit out of this, but one godbrother was just telling me, he has an inclination to watch the Academy Awards, and he said that some guy by the name of Rock, at the expense of Will Smith's wife, she lost all her hair due to some kind of illness that she has. So this Rock guy, I don't know what his name is. He makes.
Come on, it's Chris Rock.
Well,
Chris Rock. He's so famous. You don't know about him. He was a funny comedian, but irreverent. They roast each other.
Yeah.
He roasted the wrong person this time. He picked on Will Smith's wife. Will Smith is reading Gita, so I'm a little disappointed that he slapped Chris Rock on the Oscars. That's like nuts.
I heard.
And then he cried at the end when he accepted an acceptance speech for King Richard, which he acted in, the story of Serena Williams and her father. And he said he's been asked by God to protect people, and he apologized. He didn't apologize to Chris Rock, though. It's like crazy stuff. It's got to be the moon and astrological influence, but his daughter is the one who sings with John V. Harrison. Willow Smith.
Right.
She's a.
Yeah, Will Smith is a pretty special dude. He's not an ordinary guy.
No, but Will Smith and his wife admitted that they're not monogamous in their marriage. So, I mean, it's understandable that you'll stand up for your wife, if someone says something insulting to her, but they're not even faithful to one another. So
well, you could look at it that way. You could also look at it from the perspective he's kind of a king in the modern society, and kings are polygamous, and that doesn't mean they give up their protection and their affection for their wife. If someone else insults any of their wives, they're gonna take it to task. And Will Smith is very much that way.
Uh-huh.
So she has alopecia. It's an autoimmune disease that makes you lose your hair. And the joke was that Chris Rock called her G.I. Jane.
Wow.
And it's like, that was so insulting, really.
That's really
Yeah.
Contemporary comedians are always surfing on the line of completely inappropriate things to try and catch the stuff that works. It's very dangerous. Very tamasic. What's it say in Bhagavad Gita? Those who are expert in insulting others. That's a characteristic of the mode of ignorance also.
So I found the Sarartha Darshani commentary on this chapter with Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comments. Would anyone like to hear that?
100%. That stuff's amazing.
Only 100%, not 108%?
Well, let's go for it.
Close. That's pretty close. So this is chapter 61. Lord Balaram slays Rukmi. I'm not going to chant the English. Shukadev Goswami said each of Lord Krishna's wives gave birth to 10 sons who were not less than their father, having all his personal opulence. This chapter describes the sons and grandsons of Krishna and Balaram killing of Rukmi at the dice game during the marriage of Aniruddha. This verse indicates that Krishna had 16,108 wives and begot 161,080 sons. These sons were not less than Krishna in terms of their personal power and qualities. Because each of these princesses saw that Lord Achyuta never left her palace, each thought herself the Lord's favorite. These women did not understand the full truth about him. Krishna will leave the palaces only with the permission of his queens, and thus each one considered herself his favorite. By Krishna's inconceivable Yogamaya potency, the queens did not show the full truth about how he creates the good fortune of all his beloved devotees. Krishna Chandra, you want to read 2 verses, Prabhu?
Starting with Sanskrit?
No. I'm not. I said I'm not chanting Sanskrit. Just
okay.
Verse
Okay. The Supreme Lord's wives were fully enchanted by his lovely lotus-like face, his long arms and large eyes, his loving glances imbued with laughter, and his charming talks with them. But with all their charms, these ladies could not conquer the mind of the all-powerful Lord. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishna's wives, who were controlled just by his spectacular beauty, had two types of conjugal affection: Premamaya, full of love, and Kamamaya, full of lust. 2 verses, 3 through 4, describe how they could not bring Krishna under their control with their Kamamaya affection. The queens were totally enchanted by Krishna's face, which was as charming as the whorl of a lotus. His long arms, elongated eyes, loving smile, and his charming conversations. But none of the queens, even with all their seductive beauty, could conquer Krishna's mind. The reason for this is stated by the word vibhumna, which means that by his very nature, Krishna and not them is the most perfectly desirable object.
The eyebrows of these 16,000 queens enchantingly expressed those ladies' secret intentions through coyly smiling, sidelong glances. Thus their eyebrows boldly sent forth conjugal messages. Yet even with these arrows of Cupid, and with other means as well, they could not agitate Lord Krishna's senses. This verse describes their lusty allurements. Even 16,000 wives could not agitate Krishna's senses with the Cupid's arrows of their eyes. What type of arrows were they? They were arrows of sweet smiles showing their conjugal intentions through sidelong glances and lusty messages sent by the movements of their attractive eyebrows. They boldly expressed their desires to Krishna by these and other ways described in the Kama Sutra.
Shall I go on?
I don't think there's any other reader.
All right. Thus,
That's an awesome point about Kamamaya and Premamaya. That's an awesome. That's a beautiful description.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, these women obtained as their husband the master of the goddess of fortune. Although even great demigods like Brahma do not know how to approach him, with ever increasing pleasure, they felt loving attraction for him, exchanged smiling glances with him, eagerly anticipated associating with him in ever fresh intimacy, and enjoyed in many other ways. This verse.
Excuse me for stopping. There's somebody making a lot of noise and it's going. It's really wrecking the recording. I don't know who. Okay, it's just me and you, and I'm not moving, so I don't know what you're doing, Krishna Chandra.
Oh, it's not me. I promise you, I'm not making any noise, but it's probably coming from my area. Unfortunately, I will. Yeah, I'll try to take care of that.
Okay, I'm just thinking about the listeners when they go back to listen to this later. They'll be hearing.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah. Okay.
This verse describes the intense conjugal attraction the queens felt for Krishna by showing their smiling glances full of premamaya affection, anurag. They enjoyed many ever new and intimate physical exchanges, Nava Sangama, with Krishna, which were filled with great hankering because they could not be completely satisfied. Thus, it should be understood that Krishna is controlled by the Premamaya, pure loving dealings of his wives, as seen in his pastime of stealing the Parijata tree, and also from his own words, Tataham api chachchito nidram chana labhe nishi. I cannot sleep at night because of thinking of Rukmini. Sukadev Goswami said, Ikshito ita pura strinam sa vrinda prema vikshitahai. By being enchanted by their wives' shy, loving glances, Krishna found it difficult to leave their palaces. Also, it is said, Rema Sri Ratna Kutashto Bhagavan Prakrito Yata. Living amongst the jewel among women, Krishna played like an ordinary person.
Although the Supreme Lord's queens each had hundreds of maidservants, they chose to personally serve the Lord by approaching him humbly, offering him a seat, worshiping him with excellent paraphernalia, bathing and massaging his feet, giving him pan to chew, fanning him, anointing him with fragrant sandalwood paste, adorning him with flower garlands, addressing his hair, arranging his bed, bathing him, and presenting him with various gifts. This verse describes the queen's actions of menial service to express their love, Anubhav, having Krishna as the object of their prem. They offered Krishna the best items, Vara Arhanam, such as handfuls of flowers, Pushpanjali, and handfuls of jewels, Ratnanjali. Among Lord Krishna's wives, each of them had 10 sons. I previously mentioned 8 principal queens. I shall now recite for you the names of those 8 queens' sons, headed by Pradyumna. Having described a related topic, now the main topic is introduced. Each queen had 10 sons. First, the sons of the 8 principal queens are named. The first son of Queen Rukmini was Pradyumna, and also born of her Charudeshna, Sudeshna, and the powerful Charudeha, along with Sucharu, Charugupta, Bhadracharu, Charu Chandra, Charu, and Charu, the 10th. None of these sons of Lord Krishna was less than his father. The 10 sons of Satyabhama were Bhanu, Subhanu, Svarbhanu, Prabhanu, Bhanuman, Chandrabhanu, Brihadbhanu, Atibhanu, the 8th, Shri Bhanu and Pratibhanu, Shamba, Sumitra, Purujit, Shatajit, Sahasrajit, Vijay, Chitraketu, Vasuman, Dravida, and Kratu were the sons of Jambavati. These 10, headed by Shamba, were their father's favorites. The sons of Nagnajiti were Veera, Chandra, Ashvasen, Chitra, Gu, Vegavan, Vrisha, Ama, Shanku, Vasu, and the opulent Kunti. Shrutta, Kavi, Vrisha, Veera, Subahu, Bhadra, Shanti, Darsha, and Purnamash were sons of Kalindi. Her youngest son was Somaka. Along the sons of Kalindi, Bhadra was one, and Shomaka was the youngest of Ara. Madra's sons were Pragosh, Gatravan, Singha, Bala, Prabala, Urdaga, Maharshakti, Sahuja, and Aparajit. This verse describes the sons of Lakshman, who was also known as Madra. Mitravinda's sons were Vrikka, Harsha, Anila, Gridra, Vardhana, Unada, Mahangsa, Pavana, Vani, and Kshudi. Sagramajit, Brihatsen, Shura, Braharana, Arjit, Jai, and Subhadra were the sons of Bhadra, together with Vama, Ayur, and Shatyaka. Diptiman, Tamrat, Tapta, and others were the sons of Lord Krishna and Rohini. Lord Krishna's son, Pradyumna, fathered the greatly powerful Aniruddha in the womb of Rukmavati, the daughter of Rukmi. O king, this took place while they were living in the city of Bojakata. Having named the sons of the principal 8 queens, Shukadev Goswami now mentions the sons of Rohini, the foremost of the remaining 16,100 queens. If you'd like to continue, Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
My dear king, the sons and grandsons of Lord Krishna's children numbered in the millions, in the tens of millions. One can count the mothers of Krishna's offspring, but not the sons and grandsons. Krishna's queens numbered 16,108.
16,000 mothers gave rise to this dynasty. You missed that part.
Yes. King Parikshit said, how could Rukmi give his daughters to his enemy's son? After all, Rukmi had been defeated by Lord Krishna in battle and was waiting for an opportunity to kill him. Please explain this to me, O learned one, how these 2 inimical parties became united through marriage. Parikshit Maharaj asked, why did Rukmi, who was waiting for the opportunity to kill Krishna, give his daughter in marriage, Vaiva Hikam, to Krishna's son, Pradyumna. Mystic yogis can perfectly see that which has not yet happened, as well as things in the past or present, beyond the senses, remote or blocked by physical obstacles. In this verse, Parikshit explains to Shukadev, you cannot say that you do not know. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, at her Svayamvara ceremony, Rukmavati herself chose Pradyumna, who was the re-embodiment of Cupid. Then, although he fought alone on a single chariot, Pradyumna defeated the assembled kings in battle and took her away. But fearing that he could not show convincingly that Rukmi would want to give his daughter to the son of his enemy, Shukadev Goswami explains how Rukmi held a Svayamvar ceremony for his daughter's marriage in order to escape the infamy of giving his daughter to his enemy's son. Rukmi always remembered his enmity toward Lord Krishna, who had insulted him. In order to please his sister, he sanctioned his daughter's marriage to his nephew. The answer to King Parikshit's question is given here. Ultimately, Rukmi approved his daughter's marriage to Krishna's son Pradyumna in order to please his sister Rukmini, who had saved his life. O King Bali, the son of Kritavarma, married Rukmini's young daughter, large-eyed Charumati. Each queen had one daughter. In describing the marriage of Rukmini's eldest daughter, Charumati, to Kritavarma's son, Bali, the marriage of all the daughters is indicated.
Rukmi gave his granddaughter Rochana to his daughter's son, Aniruddha. Despite Rukmi's relentless feud with Lord Hari, although Rukmi considered this marriage irreligious, he wanted to please his sister, bound as he was by the ropes of affection. Rukmi agreed to the marriage of his granddaughter to Rukmini's grandson, Aniruddha. Although it was considered irreligious, according to worldly standards, one should not give one's beloved granddaughter to the grandson of one's bitter enemy. Thus we find the following injunction. One should not eat an enemy's food or feed an enemy. There is also the following prohibition. One should not execute religious injunctions if they will obstruct one's elevation to heaven, or if they are condemned by human society. On the joyous occasion of that marriage, O king, Queen Rukmini, Lord Balaram, Lord Krishna, and several of the Lord's sons, headed by Samba and Pradyumna, went to the city of Bojakata. After the wedding, a group of arrogant kings, headed by the king of Kalinga, told Rukmi, you should defeat Balaram at dice. He's not expert at dice, O king, but still he's quite addicted to it. Thus advised, Rukmi challenged Balaram and began a gambling match with him. Deciding that it would be difficult to defeat Krishna even in gambling, they told Rukmi to invite Balaram to a game of dice. In that match, Lord Balaram first accepted a wager of 100 coins, then 1,000, then 10,000. Kalinga laughed loudly at Lord Balaram, showing all his teeth. Lord Balaram could not tolerate this. First, the wager was 100 gold coins, then 1,000 gold coins, and then 10,000 gold coins. Could not tolerate means that Balaram became inwardly angry when the king of Kalinga laughed and showed his teeth. Next, Rukmi accepted a bet of 100,000 coins, which Lord Balaram won. But Rukmi tried to cheat, declaring, I'm the winner. Though Balaram won the wager of 100,000 gold coins, Rukmi tried to cheat, saying he had won. Shaking with anger like the ocean on the full moon day, handsome Lord Balaram, his naturally reddish eyes even redder in his fury, accepted a wager of 100 million gold coins. Lord Balaram fairly won this wager also, but Rukmi again resorted to cheating and declared, I have won! Let these witnesses here say what they saw. Resorting to deceit, Rukmi said, I won. The witnesses can testify to this. Just then a voice from the sky declared, Balaram has fairly won this wager. Rukmi is surely lying. When the sinful kings were giving false testimony that Rukmi had won, a voice from the sky, Nabovani, proclaimed, Balaram speaks correctly and has won. Rukmi is lying. Urged on by the wicked kings, Rukmi ignored the divine voice. In fact, destiny itself was urging Rukmi on, and thus he ridiculed Lord Balaram as follows. Rukmi said, You cowards who wander about the forest know nothing about dice. Playing with dice and sporting with arrows are only for kings, not for the likes of you. Thus insulted by Rukmi and ridiculed by the kings, Lord Balaram was provoked to anger. In the midst of the auspicious wedding assembly, he raised his club and struck Rukmi dead. Krishna Chandra. The king of Kalinga, who had laughed at Lord Balaram and shown his teeth, tried to run away. But the furious lord quickly seized him on his 10th step and knocked out all his teeth. Tormented by Lord Balaram's club, the other kings fled in fear, their arms, thighs, and heads broken, and their bodies drenched in blood. I remember reading this as a young brahmachari. I thought, wow, I never expected to know this about God, that he was like this. When his brother-in-law Rukmi was slain, Lord Krishna neither applauded nor protested, O king, for he feared jeopardizing his affectionate ties with either Rukmini or Balaram. Are you ready to read now, Krishna Chandra? Nobody there? Okay. Then the descendants of Dashara, headed by Lord Balaram, seated Aniruddha and his bride on a fine chariot and set off from Bojagata for Dwarka. Having taken shelter of Lord Madhusudan, they had fulfilled all their purposes. With all their desires fulfilled, they put Aniruddha on a chariot with his new bride and departed for Dwarka. Even though Rukmini was very dear to all the Dasharas, they were extremely satisfied with Rukmi's sudden death. Rukmini was also happy within, since her affection for Rukmi was only external. The statement in verse 39 that Krishna was silent out of fear of breaking his affectionate ties with Balaram and Rukmini is based on the fact that Rukmini had affection for Rukmi only externally. Okay, next chapter is the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. Does anyone have any closing thoughts or questions on what we read?
Not at this time.
Rasangi, Dvija, Karanga? Okay, anyway, Krishna Chandra's mom, Linda, who is actually a devotee in her own right, helping to pay for Krishna Chandra's travels to India so that he could take initiation from his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktivaibhav Puri Maharaj. And she's attended many of our Krishna book readings in the past. And she says Hare Krishna, which Vipul Goswami says, one who says Hare Krishna in an assembly of men and women, one who can say Hare Krishna is considered to be the best of all human beings. So she's been struggling with her health in the hospital. And there's a doctor who said he's not going to give up on her. But what's her current state? What was she diagnosed with? I guess many things.
It was like a fibrillation. Her heart was going very quickly, and they needed to shock her and sedate her. Then there was a breathing tube, and they gave her a lot of drugs, and it's unfortunately it's going to be very difficult for her to come back. But it's we're not giving up as of now.
No wonder Prabhupada, Shruti Kirti says Prabhupada had two mantras, Hare Krishna and don't take me to the hospital.
I should have taken that to heart as well.
Well, I'm not telling you what you should have done, but I just wow, when I hear that your mom's getting shocked and they gotta slow her down and speed her up, and it's not very pleasant to hear what she's going through.
I understand, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So
We'll pray for her.
yes,
We
we
pray for her.
Wishes. Absolutely, best wishes.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
And
My
thank
dear
you, Gaura
Dear
Prabhu, for
Lord,
bringing it up.
my dear Lord Krishna, if it is your will, please help to restore the health of Krishna Chandra's Mata,
Thank you, Prabhu.
mother Linda. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd like to finish a little earlier tonight since we read two commentaries on this chapter. I've got a bunch of rounds I still need to finish. So if everyone
Bye.
excuse me, I'd like
Sounds good. I'm
Yeah,
very
and we'll be
tired
back.
too.
Okay,
Wednesday.
I'll see you on Wednesday, Krishna willing.
Yes.
Hari Bol.
And we'll squeeze in a Ram Nomi reading at some point because that's April 10th.
Ooh.
April 10th.
Mm.
It's really easy if we cover it in the Bhagavatam. I don't know if we would need 1 or 2 sessions for that, but Prabhupada summarizes it really nicely. Otherwise, reading the Ramayana itself could take
That's
months.
prohibited.
Could take months. I've actually, it's one of my goals in life. I have like a very ancient Ramayana. I got about 4 versions of it. I've yet to read it cover to cover. Have you, Rasangi?
No, never.
Krishna Chandra, did you?
Never. I haven't.
Yeah. I mean, we could change over from Krishna book readings to Ramayana readings. I mean, it's up to everybody else.
I'm okay either way.
Kirtananda actually wrote, he put out a huge, I got a copy of it when I was in New Vrindavan. His idea was to put out like Krishna book, but as Rama book. And it's gigantic. It's like a big coffee table book. And it's got all of this beautiful art. Maybe it's from Persia. I'm not sure. But I'm kind of game. Not that I want to put down Krishna book, but I have never really gone extensively into Lord Rama's pastimes. So I don't know we don't really have many sessions, right? It's almost upon us. Oh, you can let me know what your thoughts are on that if you want to read one of the Ramayana commentaries or if we should continue with Krishna.
Wow.
It's pretty awesome.
I think we're supposed to celebrate the holy days of all of our acharyas and all the incarnations. Aren't we supposed to do that?
Yes, we are.
So
Okay,
celebrate.
we can start in advance.
Okay.
Is there a short? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a shorter version of Ramayana like inside the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Yeah, the 9th canto, Prabhupada covers it in 1 chapter.
Right. So I don't know. At the very, very least, maybe we could do that if the other one doesn't work out.
Well, the other
Good
ones,
idea.
would take several weeks, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just read Bhagavatam. That makes it concise.
Sounds good. Smart.
All right. I'm going to head outside into the pitch black. It's totally dark here right now, and
cold.
and wake up. Yeah, and cold. Actually, the snow came back, and the river froze, and it started melting again today.
Wow.
Welcome
Whoa.
here in Ontario. Even in Hamilton, I saw all the trails are completely melted. But up here,
Wow.
we're in a snow belt, and I understand why they say that because there's still snow along the riverbank where I live here. Anyway, I've made it through 67 winters so far, so
Wow.
far so good. Okay, see you folks on
Wow.
Wednesday, Kristen Willing. And
Yeah.
say a prayer to Nanda Kumar Prabhu because he's also quite ill, and yeah, hope that his
Where-
health will also be recovered.
Where is he?
Hawaii, yeah. Prabhupada said, "Don't think this isn't going to happen to you." So maybe I can sober up before I leave my body. I sure hope so. I mean, by sober, I know I don't drink or smoke or anything like that. I began really serious about Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Krishna's protected me. I'm so grateful to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. They gave me the holy name, so I don't need to get drunk or stoned, or I'll leave that up to my neighbors. They do a pretty good job. All right, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki
Haribo.
jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari
Hari
Bo. Oh, look for just before I go, I did an interview with a devotee named Madan Mohan Prabhu. He was originally initiated as Murari, I think as a Bhagavan disciple, but he started to visit the Gaudiya Math in England. That was started by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like the first Gaudiya Math outside of India. And of course, he got kicked out of ISKCON because he started getting nectar from from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's followers. Figure that one out. Anyway, so I did an interview with him today, but then he turned the tables on me and he started interviewing me.
Good.
I never had that done. So I ended up, I'm so puffed up and full of false ego that I just love to have an opportunity to talk about myself for a while. So
Mm.
it was mutual. It was very reciprocal. I was interested in him, but he was interested in me, and we just went back and forth. And he has studied Bengali to the point of where he can read it. Um, Very interesting devotees. Like he's gone deep into the Vaishnav culture. If you ever hear him sing, he sounds like a Vaishnav, and he's got like a little bit of a Bengali accent. And yeah, very fascinating character. So anyway, if you're interested in that interview, um, I put it on my Facebook channel under Gaura Das. And we did more with Rupanuga, and we did one with Sunanda describing how um, taking the jabs is being complicit with abortion, meat eating,
Sure.
slaughter. I mean, he said everything that I've never. Well, I've said. I mean, he is very candid about it. Let's put it that way. And uh, I hope that devotees will hear what he said and maybe reflect a little bit on what they've been participating in. So those are some of the things we did a talk with Rupanuga on Sunday for about 3 hours, over 3 hours, because once he gets talking, he covers everything under the sun. It's really amazing to hear from him. So Pradyumna Prabhu is busy editing that right now, so we can put it up on the Global Scam and Krishna's Plan channel. Anyway, let me just say, Krishna Chandra Prabhu, one devotee, he gave me an insight once. He said to me, like when I had to go in for a operation in 2018, because I had to have my appendix out, and I was a little nervous about it because I never had a surgery before, and
Yeah.
they put you under sleep and they're cutting you open, it's kind of weird. And a friend of mine said he was worried. He was worrying about me, but then he realized that worrying doesn't accomplish anything, and
Mm.
instead he started to pray for me, which I thought was very kind of him. And I
Yes.
thought, yeah, it's true because I'm prone to worrying myself, but I
Yeah.
think worrying means I think that I can control things. I'm the controller. But if I turn things over to prayer, like if you just read Dramila Prabhu's story, how he came to Krishna consciousness, it's out there. It's there's several times even before he comes to Krishna consciousness, he's praying to God, like as a little boy asking, why are these people drinking liquor? Why are they smoking? He's asking God, he's asking Krishna, why are they doing these things? And he's even saying to Krishna, may I never, when they gave him a little shot of whiskey to try out as a little boy and he started spitting. And my grandparent did the same thing with me with vodka, and all my cousins laughed at me. And I thought, oh my God, I'll never do that. Unfortunately, as a teenager, I did experiment for a couple years. But from his experience, just by drinking a little shot of liquor once, he swore to never drink liquor again for the rest of his life. I mean, he prayed to Krishna that he may never do that. So I just really appreciated his story of how he came to Krishna, because that mood of beseeching Krishna's mercy, Krishna's guidance, Krishna's protection
Yes.
comes through in his writing.
Mm. And I
Reminds
appreciate it. Yeah, I have a.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I similarly, I have a problem with the propensity to worry, so that would help me out too.
Yeah, Krishna, it's in your hands, and just continue to be the best devotee that you can, because your mom she's a shareholder in that. So
Yeah,
if we want to bless our parents, they think blessing our parents means to become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. They may not appreciate that blessing our parents means chanting better japa, reading more, hearing and chanting,
yeah,
distributing Prabhupada's books. Okay, I'm gonna go and rant some sounds myself. I mean, chant some rounds.
yes.
Hare Krishna. See everyone
Hare
Wednesday. Good night, Vijay Garanga.